In this week's video, I'm going to compare an f4 lens and an f2.8 lens. Does it really make any difference in landscape photography? Do you really need to spend £2,000 on a lens, or is this lens, which is still quite expensive, good enough? Let's go out on an amazing morning and find out. Morning everybody, and fantastic to see you all again. So I'm out again and I've been waiting for this actually. We've had a lot of cloud and I want to do a final sort of photo shoot of the heather. I'm here at a local place actually called the Roaches, and I've never photographed here in the morning, so it's going to be quite interesting to see what I get. There's some really nice cloud that's going to catch the light over there. Sunrise is from over there. And I'm going to have a look. One thing I'm going to try and do in this video is compare my 24 to 70 f4 with my 24 to 70 f2.8. I'll tell you a little bit more why I'm doing that as we're walking up. Right, get my bag sorted, got my Sherpa again, and let's get going.
We may have it all. Up the ladder, down the wall.
Yeah, 8.
Different mysteries.
Okay, I've got to the spot that I sort of planned that I was going to photograph, and it's these two ridges here that are going to catch the sun from over there. And I'd looked a little bit on photo pills to try and work out where the sun was going to be, and I was a little bit unsure whether the rock behind me here or in front of me as I'm looking now was going to block the sunlight, and I think it is, but you can probably see that they're still getting some reflected light, but there's not going to be a huge amount of light on the foreground. There's going to be no light on the foreground. The other thing is here it's quite tricky. You've got to get low, and I can't go low, so because I want these ridges to be over the horizon, so I've got to make a decision now. Do I go higher or do I stay here? And I'm not sure, so you'll find out next time you see me whether I've changed my mind and gone a little bit higher. But I'm going to have a quick look here, see what I can just finagle around here, and then make a decision. But it's a fantastic morning. The clouds are absolutely perfect. Right, let's get going. Okay, so I've decided to stay here, and I think that's probably a good decision. We're going to get some reflected light because it's so blue, the sky. We're going to get some nice reflected light back into these heathers, even though they don't get direct light. I'm going to have to do an exposure and focus stack, I think, so it's a bit tricky. But what I want to compare is this 24 to 70 f4 and f2.7. Because I'm going to start carrying my bag at some point, I want to go as light as possible. And I just want to decide and do a few tests around the two lenses basically, and see what's going to work for me, how much I have to carry. I want to carry and go as light as possible, obviously. I've also got my 24 to 120 as well. But there's some nice light coming through here. Hopefully it'll catch these clouds, but it's already reflecting really nice on these rocks. So it should be really good. Right, I've moved around a little bit. I was just over there and I've moved a little bit closer to the wall. I really like this sort of lead-in, sort of darker area here. These grasses look nice. This heather's a nice sort of set of heather. We're still about, 4 minutes before sunrise. I'd expected those clouds to light up a little bit, so I think there must be some cloud on the horizon. But that's not a problem. There's a little bit of wind, so that's a bit of a complication for the grasses here. So I think I'm going to up the ISO to probably ISO 400, just to have a slightly faster shutter speed. But the biggest problem I've got is that these two peaks here, I either want them to be below the horizon or above the horizon, and I think above the horizon is going to be a little bit better because it just sort of, otherwise it's very flat. So I've gone as low as I can go there. In an ideal world, I think I'd go a little bit lower, but I can't because of my back, and I'm being really careful and good. And then yeah, it just leads in. It's really nice. And again, I've got to do some exposure stacking on here. I'm shooting at 24 millimeters, so these heathers just not going to be in focus, and that at whatever f-stop. So I'm shooting at f11, and I'm exposure and focus stacking. So it's quite a complex scene, but I think it should be good. Right, get to it. So we're waiting for the light now. You'll notice that I've got my camera set up as high as I can get. It's fine to use these central poles, by the way, don't worry about that. I usually only use this when I've extended the tripod first. So don't use it to be lazy, but when you want to get higher, then that's good. And you can see just up here that I want to just have a little bit of gap between there. Ideally, I'll probably be even higher, but it doesn't go much higher, so I can't do much about that. And I quite like this. I think it's quite a good portrait shot. So I've shot this with my f4, my f2.8 lens, and when we get back to the studio, then we'll have a look at the results. I'm going to print out both images. The light in the clouds up there is looking really nice now, but unfortunately that's a little bit high. So we need, hopefully, that cloud, the wind's blowing in this direction, to go over that way. So I think whilst I'm waiting for the light, I'm going to fly my drone and yeah, so we get. Also, what I'd say is that there's some mist over there. Maybe that mist might come a bit down the valley, I don't know, probably not. Probably not cold enough. It's good to be out. Okay, it's really good now. We've got some fantastic light on the rock. We're never going to get light on the heather, so again, I've got to exposure bracket it. The clouds are okay, not amazing. I've gone a little bit higher, and I'm just going a little bit longer, so I've gone to about 35 millimeters, which will be good because I can test the two lenses at that focal length as well. And yeah, I think it's pretty good. I've just got to watch these grasses moving, but a little bit of movement in the grasses might look good. They'll tell a little bit about the scene, which I think will be quite nice. So, it looks pretty good. Okay, keep going.
It's a hard thing to know that your soul will stay hollow. Even if I know that nothing lasts forever, it's not easy to let go. Can you love me again? Can things ever be the same?
Okay, it's a little bit later now. The sun's just come a little bit further around. Obviously still not on the heather here, but I've just moved around to the right a little bit, and there's a path going down which is really nice, and you can get it coming in from the right hand side of the frame here. There's a nice bit of grass here, and then we're leading through into this heather and then down to the rocks. So it looks really good. Again, it's just a shame that the sun's just not a bit further around, but unfortunately it is like that, but only in the winter, and the heather will have gone by then. But yeah, the clouds are really nice above now as well. So I think I'm going to try, I've not got a wide angle lens, I've only got my 24 millimeter lens. So I think I'm just going to do a vertical pano just to get a wider shot, and that'll take it down to like an 18 millimeter lens.
Yes, there he goes. the things I wanna say.
So I've spoken about this before in my videos, and I think it's really important that you know your gear. Now, I've done tests before on my 24-70 lenses, but I've done them in my garden, and I wanted to do some actual field tests. What I'm interested in really is just the sharpness around the edges. I want to be comfortable that if I take that f4 lens, that I'm going to be happy with the results. I'm almost positive I am, because I've got some amazing shots that I've taken on that lens, but I just want to do it before I'm going to be going out with that lens a lot. So that's the idea behind today. And also I wanted to take an amazing sunrise, which it's been pretty good. I think I've done a reasonably good job of getting some photos. I'm still rusty, I've got to admit. I need to get my eye in again, but I've really enjoyed it. So we're going back to the studio now. Going to print out some photos, which is always my favourite thing. I'll show you that, and we'll talk about the photos in a bit more detail. Okay, I'm back in my studio now, and before I get onto these images, I just want to talk a little bit about the sponsor of this week's video, and that is Lexar. Lexar have been fantastic for me and my journey. They've sponsored quite a few videos now, and they've also saved me in lots of dodgy situations where I've dropped cards and battered cards and I've never lost any data. They produce CF Express cards and SD cards. I use both of them. They've got really fast write speeds. I like the Lexar Professional Gold. I think they're really good. A fast read and write speed is really important to me for video because I've got large files as well. So yeah, Lexar have sponsored this week's video, and if you want to know anything more about them or any of the offers, then there's a link in the description below. Go and check them out. They make fantastic cards. I'm quite excited because I've just improved some things in my studio and I've got a top-down camera here all the time, but I've also got a monitor. So I'll show you. So yeah, I've got an extra monitor there now for my top-down camera. So it just makes things a little bit easier to record. Anyway, a little bit behind the scenes there. So, yeah, I'm back in the studio. I've printed the photos out, shot on my f4 lens and my f2.8 lens and compared them. To be honest, it's no surprise really. It's funny really, isn't it, that you get a lens like this, which is, you know, the best lens. Everything that reviews it says it's just incredible. But this lens is still incredible as well. I mean, this is a £1,000 lens. This is almost twice as expensive, but doesn't mean it's twice as good. And yeah, this weighs almost half the amount of this. So for me, this is really important. So I'm going to show you the two images side by side, hopefully. So this is where my top-down camera comes in useful. I'll just move these lenses off to the side. So I've had to write on these two images which is which. So this is the f4 image, and this one here is the f2.8 image. Now obviously this isn't the most scientific test in the world because there was a lot of wind. Yeah, this is the f4 one here, and it's just a little bit softer on the edges. So you can see here compared to here, it's definitely a tiny bit softer. I mean, you would hardly notice, and I had to write on it to say which was which. The middle of it, you just can't tell. I mean, it's just incredible how sharp this lens is. At the corners down here, again, this f4 lens is just a little bit softer, but not very much. I mean, I'm super happy about shooting with the f4. If I'm in woodland, I'll probably still shoot with the f2.8 just because I'm not walking very far. But if I ever walk any distance at all, the f4 lens is amazing. And I implore you to do this with your own lenses. Don't just think, if you've got, you know, a bit of money to spend, that if you're going to get a better lens, that's going to improve your photography. It is not going to make any difference to your photography, or it's unlikely to. You know, these are two images that you could not tell apart, and I think people would really struggle to tell them apart. So I want to show another shot as well. So I've also got this shot here. Then this is actually on the f2.8 lens. So this one here. I could show you the f4 version of it. It's just identical, really. I actually want to show this because I think it's quite a nice image. I quite like it, but there's a few things that I'm just not perfectly happy about. So I like the fact I've got the heather here, and I like the fact that the wall comes in here, and then I can get over the fact that this just doesn't quite go over the horizon. It's not ideal, but you know, in the Peak District, it's quite a flat location with just a few rocks. If I'd have gone any lower, then I'd have broke my back, basically. What's just bugs me a little bit is because this is in shade and this is in sun, then the light is warmer on the heather there than it is here. And obviously the colour difference, the colour temperature is different. So this is a cooler purple to this, which is a warmer purple. Now I could match these two, but when I tried to do that, it just didn't look right. And it bugs me a little bit. But I like it apart from that. I think it's a nice image. It would be beautiful in winter here when the sun comes further round and starts to get more on here, and also you get more of a glow coming from the side here, which is what I got on that other image. So yeah, it was a pretty amazing morning. I really loved being out again, and yeah, it was fantastic. Okay, before I go, I just want to say that my calendar today, this is Sunday, so if you're not watching it, then just ignore this because you can't get the pre-orders anymore. The calendar's still available, but you don't get the offer. So pre-orders are still available on my calendar. Delivery prices have gone up worldwide. In fact, they've almost doubled. And what I want to do with my calendar this year is make sure that I can still offer free delivery. So by doing pre-orders, it means that I can send them in bulk to a bulk mail carrier. It means that the handling costs are much reduced. I have to spend less time handling them as well. And it means that I can offer free postage. And I'm doing that till the end of today. So if you want this anywhere in the world, then the postage is free. And also you get entered to a draw for a one-to-one online session with me, and there's 5 of those. So yeah, my calendar has got some pretty cool images in of the year. You can see here some abstract shots from Iceland, pretty amazing shot from Glencoe here, one of the most amazing torrents of water I've seen in this thing here. A local shot from April. And then I've got a shot from a pretty amazing sunset in Malin Head, and quite a lot of other pretty amazing shots from the last 12 months. I'm really proud of it. If you want a calendar, the link's in the description. Okay, thanks for watching. Go and check Lexar out as well. Until next Sunday, bye.